Hello, I am back. Can you guys see me and hear me okay? Please let me know. Please let me know. On my end, it's not looking too good. Let me know how it is on your end. I can't tell if it's just my computer or if it's StreamYard or what is the issue. But wait, no sound? Really? No sound? It echoes? Wait, refresh. Because someone just said I can hear you just fine. Yeah, refresh, please. Hello. Okay, you're good now. Okay, well, yeah, Thomas Dominic. Hello, welcome back. Okay, no, the sound I think should be fine. It's just the lagging on my end. It's bad, so I don't know if you guys can see it. We are trolling. Don't be trolling. I was just drinking a blue drink, so. Oh, thank you, Lo Nancy. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I am Melly. We are going to continue reading Mackenzie Shirilla text messages between her and Dom. Oh boy. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready for this? Let's continue. This is part 13. It lagged for me earlier. Yeah. Let me know. See, that's how it's coming up on my end too. It's coming up that it's glitching a little bit, and I tried to fix it, but yeah, let me know if it gets bad or something. Okay? As I'm reading the text, if it's like super laggy, let me know. Because I don't want to read them if you guys won't be able to like tell what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Okay, sounds fine. All right. Okay. Well, if you guys are good, I'm good. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Sorry, I was reading your comments. Shout out to all my mods. I saw on Crimey, Patty, Kara, Sarah G, Tay, hello. Hi, Cree. A little laggy, but sound is good. Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want the lag. That's the problem. I don't know how I can fix it because I think it's just StreamYard. But let me get started and then we can just go from there. I already have the text messages pulled up. Okay. Here we go. We left off on July 30th, 2020. Let me go back because I don't really remember what was going on. Okay, she said good night. She said good night. Oh, he called her a cutie. Do you guys remember? I don't remember what it was last on. She's just saying she just woke up. He just woke up. He said cutie. And then he says good night at 5:14 a.m. Did he mean good night or good morning? Oh, she said, are you going back to sleep? She says, I'm trying to right now. I'm trying to remember what we left off on. I don't want to go too far back. He says, yeah. And then she says, good night, my baby. And this is at 5:15 a.m. She says, B-Day in 2 days. Oh, it's her birthday in 2 days. Oh, yeah. And then she says, OMG. Now I'm starting to remember. She says, OMG, I'm so pissed. Yes, this is where we left off. She says, I'm so pissed. She says, we are not going to Lexi's grad party. Sorry, I just want to make sure everything's good. Okay. She says, we're not going to Lexi's grad party. She says, Lexi is blocked. And he says, why? She says, FaceTime me. He says, her and Sheen were just texting me. Mackenzie says, I swear to, she says, oh, hold on. My computer's like acting up. She says, I swear to God, we are not going. Okay, so now she's beefing with Lexi. She's always beefing with one of her friends, I feel like. She says, okay, first it was Maddie. She says, I swear to God, we're not going. And she sends a screenshot of something that I think Lexi said. And he says, I'm at Trevor's. Mackenzie says, you see what Lexi posted? She posted the exact same thing you put on your story. Weird AF. And Dom says, let me see. Oh, Joe Jorgensen? She says, on Insta. Dom said, question mark? She says, yes. He says, I told her. Mackenzie says, I thought you hated her though, LOL. He says, I don't really hate anyone. He says, I think she uses people and don't like what she said to me, but I always just let shit go. That's what Dom said. And Mackenzie says, yeah, I don't know if I can be cool with her anymore. Oh. Dom says, why? Mackenzie says, everything since the cabins. Dom says, just block her and don't talk to them for a while. And she says, that's what I did. Can you look for Airbnb when you have time? And he said, she said you can just go. Don't wear short shorts and a half skirt. Oh, half shirt. Like a crop top. And she says, what? And she says, oh, to the car? She said. And Dom says, yeah. When you going? Because I'm waiting to give someone a 2 gram right now. What do I wear? She said, I don't want your mom to be mad. And Dom says, I don't know, I'm getting dressed. You'd have to be here ASAP too. Mackenzie says, question mark, question mark, question mark. And he says would because he did a typo. And he says, what? She says, where are you at? Why aren't you coming in? I have to leave soon. And Dom says, what time? This is the next day. Well, the next morning. She says, at 1. So come. Wait, is this? Oh, this isn't 12:39 a.m. She says, so come, please. She says, baby? Then there's a blank text. She says, good night, my baby. There's a baby. Wait, she says, good night? She says, GN, my baby. And then she says, there's a baby pig at the fair. But it's like 7:55 in the morning. And Dom says, shut yo bitch ass up. What? That escalated quickly. Yet that's what he said. He said, shut yo ass up, bitch. What the heck? Problems incoming. He says, shut yo ass up, bitch. And she says, WTF, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, as I would too. And he says, I'm kidding. Come give me kissy. What? Is he joking? What the hell? I'm sorry. That is not a cute way to joke. Not joking. If my ever husband spoke to that me, I take it as fighting words. Yo, that's messed up. I'll send you late. That's messed up. He says, I'm kidding. Come give me kissy. She says, okay, so then they must have hung out, because then the next day she says, see you tomorrow. Good night, baby. You guys have to remember, these are the texts that are like that are in the evidence package. She says, see you tomorrow. This is at 2:04 a.m. See you tomorrow. Good night, baby. He's on 8/1. And she says, baby, at 10:30 a.m. And he says, wow. He says, your present got canceled and refunded. Her birthday present. And Mackenzie says, it's okay, babe. That's gay, though. And he says, it's not okay. I'm mad. She says, sad face, why did it say it was canceled? He said, no. She said, that's weird. I feel like they would tell you why. And also, don't forget about the nail thing at 12. I also left my bag at your house last night, LOL. Will you be ready by 11:40? He says, probably. I gotta get up and shit. And he says, Mackenzie says, okay, bet. I'm ready whenever. Do you want me to come to your house, or do you want to just get me before we go? Can I just come over? My family is annoying as shit. That's what she said. And he said, yeah. I wonder if he even really got her a gift, or if he's just lying and saying that. Like, did he really get her? Oh, what a coincidence that it got refunded. You know what I mean? Hey, Mo. Good to see you, love. Code for I forgot to get you anything. Exactly, Shasta. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, he probably didn't even get her anything. Okay, so he says, yeah, come over, basically. And then she says, okay, bet, I'm gonna come now. She says, now they can't change the time. You don't have to come if you're gonna be busy. She says, what a great way to treat me. I don't know why you acting like it's my fault. My mom made my appointment at 2. She told me 12 yesterday. You can't just take your effing anger out on me. I literally told you I'm having a bad morning. So then I come here and you're mean AF for no reason. Whoa. This is at 12:01 p.m. on 8:01. She says, like, the fact that you just let me leave is so effed up. She said, like, are you even coming? And he says, I'm not. You said the appointment was only for you. Mackenzie says, no, I didn't. And she's talking in caps now, texting in caps. Like, do you even listen? She said. And Dom says, whatever, just go with Kristen. Mackenzie says, wow. You're so effing mean. He says, I don't care. It's not a big deal. She says, like, I'm trying to effing leave, but you just keep making me cry. She says, it effing is. This is for my birthday. And all you care about is you right now. Oh, he's ditching her on her birthday. Wow. She was just a booty call for him. That's sad. She says, you're really not about to go? You effing know how excited I was. He says, I don't know why you had to come here at 12 when you didn't have to. Then you start being a bitch about me wanting to go back to bed when I didn't have to get up yet. And then you expected to just chill with me all day. She says, you literally rude as shit. She says, you were the one who got mad. And I didn't start being an effing bitch ever. Me being upset is a lot different, she says. And you seem to only just care about your sleep right now. And he says, okay, cool. Go get your nails done. And she says, so you're not coming? You're going to be like that? Dom says, no, I don't want to go to dinner later either. Wait, why does she want him to go with her to get her nails done? Like, he's a dude. If he doesn't want to go at the end of the day, like, just don't make him go. And now he doesn't even want to hang out with her on her birthday. That is messed up. I feel like, yeah, he must not really like her. You know what I mean? Like, that is just, I feel like no effort. He's just like, whatever about it. Alsane says, I wouldn't go with him. Oh my gosh. He says, no, I don't want to go to dinner later either. And she says, OMG. You did not just say that. Effing answer right now. Here we go. And he says, I really don't want to go. She says, you are so effing fake. I can't believe you said that. She says, wow. He says, okay, cool. If I'm fake, then drop me. She says, you can't do anything like that for me. I'm coming back. He says, no. She says, you want to start shit the day before my birthday? And he says, you're not. She says, like, WTF is wrong with you? You know I was excited and you do this. You're being such a DICK. I'm about to text your mom. Like, what the F did I do for you to do this all the time? Effing nothing. Why is she always starting to text his mom? That's so annoying. And then he says, okay, cool, text her then. I really won't go. She said, you said you're not coming. And why the F you threatening me? She said. He says, I said I really don't want to go. She says, if you don't come, that will show you don't really care about me. Because it's her birthday. He says, okay. Oh my God. She says, OMG, you are messed up. Imagine your boyfriend's just like, no, don't care. Thank you, Kristen. It says, I love your channel. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Wow, what makes you realize because she won't go away? She's a tick that doesn't let loose. He doesn't want to see her, period. He's just like mean to her, and it's even her birthday too. Sad. She says, OMG, you are so messed up. Like, I don't know what happened, she said. And he says, if that's what you think, then okay. She says, Dom, if don't come, we're going to have serious issues. Serious AF. She says, the fact that you can't even do this shows me you don't care. Like, if you really wanted to go, you would, and you wouldn't care that my mom told me the wrong time. He just said he doesn't want to go. She said, I swear to God, it's always about you. Like, how the F do you think I feel right now? Answer right now. And he says, okay, leave me alone. She says, N-word. Say something nice and then I will. She says, because you're coming to this effing dinner. Like, you talk about being worried my parents not going to like you, then you say you're not coming. Like, what the F they going to think about that? I'm effing walking home crying right now. And you couldn't give a single shit, she said. Dom says, all I did was want to go back to bed for a little. And she says, and that's okay. I didn't really care about that at all. It's the fact how when I asked you if I could stay, you got all mad for no effing reason. Then I asked to stay in the living room and you told me I can walk home. She says, then you say you're not coming to the nail appointment or the dinner. He says, no, that's not what happened at all. You said you have no ride. I said you walked here, you can walk home. She says, yeah. He's so mean. Well, I mean, I guess she doesn't live that far away. And she says, and that's rude AF. She says, when I could just chilled in your living room. He says, see, yeah, don't try and twist the story in your head. She says, I'm not? ? You still said the nail thing and the dinner thing. He says, okay. She says, which is effed up. Because you know how happy, excited I was about the whole thing. That you're gonna ruin it if you keep acting like this. Like, I've been crying this whole walk home and you don't care. He says, well, stop bothering me. I might go. She says, you are going. And I also think I deserve an apology, she said. This is really disrespectful saying that you can't come to my family dinner. That's going to be less than 2 hours. It should be one of your top priorities. I don't give an F if you don't come to the nail appointment. Maddie's going to come if you don't. She says, but dinner is so important to me and you know that. Dinner should be important to you too. And he emphasized, well, stop bothering me. I might go. And then she emphasized that should be important to you too. He says, would be hard to go if I was pissed off. So stop texting me or I'm gonna mute you. She says, all right, Maddie's getting her nails done with me, but make it to my family dinner. I'm gonna stop texting you. That's at 12:40. And he says, I'd rather do that than go to dinner though. Wow. She says, on my life. She says, why don't you want to be around my family? He says, this shit is so gay. She says, the only one making this gay is you. I love to be around your family, but I just feel like you have something against it. He says, no, I'm just mad now. He says, I'm just not going to go do anything. She says, Dom, if you don't come to dinner, it's going to kill me. It's okay if you don't come to the nail appointment, but like we were talking about dinner the other day and you were like, we can get high, then smack dinner. And he says, I'll go to dinner, but nothing else. She says, why? She says, you're really hurting me, babe. He keeps changing his mind. And he says, I don't know, I have problems. Okay. And she says, this is just really upsetting me. I can leave you alone till later if you want. And he said, I said that earlier. He says, whatever, I'm done. She says, you replied to me though. Please just come to dinner. If you don't, I don't know what I'll do. She says, talk to you later. He emphasized, whatever, I'm done. Then he says, I don't feel right. I'm mad AF. What's your Cash App? She said, why? I don't have a Cash App card. He said, so no one can Cash App you? She says, people can. She said, I just need the card to take the money out, I think. He says, how did you get the money? She says, they send the card for free, but I don't know my last numbers of my SS for Social Security. She says, I'm trying to get the card right now. She said, it's being weird. Are you sure you don't want to come to the nail appointment today? He said, maybe. Oh my gosh. First, he's like, I don't want to go. Then he's like, I do want to go. And then he's like, I don't. And now he's like, maybe. Like, hey, Jahira, good to see you, love. Hey, Sarah Beth. So now he, like, I can't deal with this back and forth, back and forth. I know, Shasta. He should have taken her to get her nails done for her birthday, but in all reality, they should have been done a long time ago. Why can't she just go by herself to get her nails done? Why does she need Dom to go? I don't understand. Like, was that even necessary for a fight? So now he's like, maybe. She's like, it's at 2, so you got to let me know soon. She says, I'm figuring out the Cash App shit right now. Would Venmo work? He says, probably. He says, let me smoke. I'll probably want to go. And she said, are you sure? He says, actually, I don't know because I can't see. He says, I appreciate you putting all my socks and tank tops on the floor last night. She said, what do you mean you can't see? Is he being sarcastic or is he being for real? She said, and please don't try to argue, babe. Oh, he's being for real. She said, Dom said exactly what I said it means. I can't see. She said, why can't you see what happened? And he said, I tell you this all this time and you just say, what do you mean? And she said, stop trying to fight with me. She said, it's okay if you don't want to go. She said, but if you do, you need to be ready soon. Do you want to come? She said. And she emphasizes her message. And then she says, we need to leave by 1:40. So please tell me if you're coming. He says, I don't know. I'm about to roll a blunt. She says, we can boon then if you want to go. She says, baby. And he says, okay, let me roll it real quick. She says, so you want to come? He says, yeah, I'll come. I have nothing else to do anyways. She said, okay, yay. Do you want me to come over or are you going to scoop? She says, baby. He says, doesn't matter. She said, okay, can I come over? Is that okay? And he says, when do we have to leave? She says, or do you want to scoop? She said, as soon as we can. The appointment is at 2. It's already 1:45. And he says, where's the place? I still got to roll blunt. She said, by Chick-fil-A. She said, it's like 5 to 10. I can't miss this appointment, she said. They will give it to someone else. And he said, okay, well, I can soup or you can come. She says, I'm coming. She says, roll fast, LOL. I don't know why she used pink acrylic. He says, I still think it'll look good. He says, probably to make your finger look nice and pink. So they're at the nail place. She says, should I still get French tip? And he says, yeah, probably. This is weird. He says, oh, or just leave it light pink would be kind of cool. She says, I was thinking that maybe. He says, I kind of thought because you always get French tip. She says, where did you go? He says, what's up? She says, my mom's on the way. She says, babe, this is the next day. She says, my mom just effed up my nail. Wait, was this the next day? Yeah. Oh, no. Hold on, let me go back. I thought we were on 8-1. Oh no, it's still the same day, so it's 8-2. Wait, was that 8-1? My computer's moving slow. Oh no, it's still 8-2. Okay. Oh, it's 1:08 a.m. She says, my mom's on the way. Babe. She says the next morning at 9:56. So they went back to his house. She says, my mom just effed my nail up. Oh gosh, here we go. She said, I'm so pissed right now. And he said, I don't know. She said, LOL, are you going to say happy birthday? He said, I said last night, pulling in. She says, bet. She says, babe. So now it's her birthday. My mom said I could have cake. She says, oh, I could have cake? And he said, what? She says, like, I could have came with you. Can I get dropped off there? Dom says, at my house? Question mark. So now it's her birthday. Okay, and she says, yes. So now she wants to go to Dom's house on her birthday. He says, yeah, get dropped off. She says, bet. She says, never mind, just come scoop. And she says, never mind, LOL. And he says, are you on the way? She says, not yet. About to leave right now. Are you on the way? She says, I'm on the way. And he says, I'm about to get in. And she says, okay, I'm on the way. And he says, okay, hurry. She says, bet, I'm close AF. She says, LOL. She's walking there, remember? Or maybe not. And he said, what? And she said, what do you mean? He says, you put that emoji. She says, why aren't you talking to me? This is later in the day. She says, why are you walking away every time I come by you? Why are you talking to the ugly ass bitches more than me? Like it's my birthday. I'm not trying to cry again. He says, what do you mean? You don't talk to me. These are the people I grew up with, said Dom. She says, how can I talk to you when you walk away every time I get close to you? She says, now how the F am I supposed to talk to these people? I don't even know. Like you don't even introduce them to me. But no, you don't care. And he says, well, that's why I didn't have it in mind that you come. Wow. This is on her birthday too. So now they're hanging out with his friends. Hello, abuelitas. That's crazy. She says, well, that's why, and they're hanging out with like his friends. She's like, Dom said, well, that's why I didn't have it in mind that you come. And she says, you're effed up. And she says, I want to leave. This is on her birthday at 8:00 p.m. She says, I'm not having fun at all. You could have easily introduced me and shit, but you didn't. You just let me watch the whole time. Like, holy shit, it feels like you can't even try. Like, it's my birthday. Why are you being so mean? He says, I'm not, but okay, we'll leave soon. And she says, yes. You are. She sent it in like 3 different messages. Don't lie, she said. Oof. She says, you could have made this night a lot better, but you didn't. I think we should leave now. She emphasizes it. Oh my gosh. And then he says, okay, we'll leave soon. She said, you said soon 10 minutes ago. He said, I know, but I don't want to leave early. I was late. She says, well, I'm mad AF now. I'm supposed to be happy today, but of course that didn't happen. He said, what do you mean? Oh. He said, what do you mean? Sorry, I skipped it. He said, what do you mean today was all about you till like 6 o'clock? Then it'll be about you later. Then it'll be about you till we get home. Like, how am I? Like, I'm about to get you Gucci shoes, he said. She said, that doesn't matter. You're being rude AF right now. The party could have been fun, but you really didn't help. Like when I came to the car upset, you could have came and fixed it, but you chose to just stand there. Like Thomas is being nice to his girl. Why can't you be nice to me? I want to leave by 8:30, she said. She sends a picture of the Gucci shoes twice. And then another link of something Gucci. Wow. She says, you good? This is the next day. Wait, is this the next day? Yeah, because it was just her birthday, right? He's going to buy her Gucci shoes. Oh, no, it's the same day. On 8/3. Oh, it's the next day. And she's sending the links. She says, you good? Do you want me to stay out here? She said. I can't believe he's buying her Gucci shoes. She says, or I can dip if you want to be alone. He says, yeah, stay out there. And she says, okay, baby. When are you coming back? She says. He says, I don't know. This is at 9:53 p.m. She says, are you okay? She says, I'm tired AF right now. She said, are you sure you want me to not go home? He says, I don't care, whatever you want to do. And then the next morning she says, good morning on 8/4/11/01. She says, I slept so long. And he says, same. She says, I'm about to shower right now. What are you doing today? She says. And he says, I don't know, for real. She says, want to do something? He says, maybe. She says, what's a good place to get dope shoes? He says, like website or store? She says, store. She says, my dad said he would get me some shoes. Also, my hair curly AF right now. He says, like, you want new shoes or like retro shoes? She says, I don't know, just some nice ass shoes. She says, baby, what's the best place? Gosh, she can't do anything by herself. She says, I want to show you something. Can you tell me so I can go? He says, I really like kicks. He says, sorry, I was on the phone and then I was rolling. She says, okay, bet, I'm going to go there. She says, and it's okay, baby. She says, I have a vape cell. Can you do it so I can get shoes? He says, I don't know why that sent again, LMAO. She said, Dom said, just hit me up after your shoes. I was trying to figure out what he was saying there. She says, okay, bet. She says, I'm on the way to that place now. He says, yeah, they won't have all sizes though. It's like hit or miss place. Just look for the shoe stores around Cleveland. She says, okay, bet. She said, I have 2 vape cells too. What are more good shoe stores, she says. She says, babe. He says, we went to Blueprint. It's a rip. I don't know. You got to search them. Try Avalon Exchange. She says, babe, look at Snap. She says, I need your opinion. Oh, here we go with the shoes. Tay says again, as someone with BPD, I'm seeing a symptom here. If people don't act or do exactly what she wants, she takes it as hate or personal. Yeah, she does, right? She says, I need your opinion. I feel like she wants his approval and say on everything. Like she's not comfortable. Like what shoes should I wear? Do you like my hair? Like, do you pick my nails out for me? Like, it's a lot. She says, I need your opinion. She says, want to hang when I'm home? She says, then I can do the sales. He says, I'm chilling with Blair. She says, well, can I come? LOL. And he says, maybe. She says, I'm still getting the surprise for you on the way home. She says, can I go home first, then come? He says, maybe. She says, he's so annoying. Just say yes or no. Like, and she says, can I come over? She says, babe. And he says, what? And she says, would you let me go to your house and get some stuff, though? Might have a ride to my cells. I need 8. He says, who is your ride? Mackenzie says, I didn't ask yet. I'm selling her a vape, though. Maris, I'm going to ask if she can drive me to a couple sales. And he says, who? And Mackenzie says, Maris. I guess that's her friend's name, Mary's. It's interesting that she's also selling and she's like, I want to do these sales. So clearly the product is evenly shared between them or what? Because, oh no, my computer's moving too fast. It's like skipping because she says, I want to do my sales. So they were just both selling, or whose product was it? Is that why there's always so much threatening about it? He says, I don't know who that is. Dom says, wait, did I skip one? Oh no, she emphasizes it's Maris. Oh, my screen's like scrolling. I don't know why it won't stop. Maybe I did it too fast. Sorry guys, my computer's like lagging today on the text. Okay, so he asked her who. She says it's her friend Maris. I don't know what her name is. And then, if I'm pronouncing it right. And then he says, I don't know who that is. She says she's friends with Maddie and Farron. She's in your grade. And Dom says, oh, she says, you met her before. And Dom said, just do them later or tomorrow. And Mackenzie says, what are you doing tonight? And she emphasizes again because he doesn't respond to her. I don't like that. When they emphasize each other. She says, text back. She says, people want bud and vapes. He says, I'm watching basketball right now. She says, so no. She says, Dom says, when would they want them? She said, I don't know. They said tonight. And Dom said, who? She said, Reese and Logan. Reese always gets from us. He said, who's that? But okay, can I after b-ball? She says, when's that? And she questions it again. And then he says, I don't know, it's halftime now. She said, okay, bet. She says, let me know. He says, bet. She says, I'm gonna be home soon. He says, what are you doing out right now? Mackenzie says, I'm with Marissa. Oh, with Marissa. She says, I'm with Marissa. Dom said, oh, okay. So she ended up meeting up with her. And then she says, when is the game over? He says, it's third quarter. She says, how many minutes? He said, it's about to be fourth now. She said, for sure. He said, the game is about to end soon and it's already midnight. It's 11:29 p.m. He said, the game is about to end soon. He says, who did we need to go to? Mackenzie says, okay, let me know. She said, oh. Reese and Logan. He says, where are they and what they need? Mackenzie said, a couple vapes and 2G. He says, who needs what? Then I'll probably do the vapes. I'll probably do the vapes, not the 2G. She said, and bet. I'm going to buy I'll do banana ice, apple kiwi, and blue slushy C-sticks, and then I have $16 left. Is there anything else I can buy? Like, what other stuff you got? Oh, so it's his stuff. She said, that's what Reese said to me. And then she says, I'll tell Logan no. He says, just give her 2 other vapes or Puff Plus or something. Mackenzie says, bruh, never mind. People make me so mad. She said Dom said, she said she's not home. Like, then why the F you beg me for vape all day? He says, it's okay. You can just come over then in a little. We can just smoke and relax. She said, okay, bet. When should I go home? He says, what do you mean, like after my house? She says, I can get dropped off at your house whenever. It's 11:35 p.m. Dom says, okay, yeah, get dropped off soon. She says, okay, bet. How about 11:45? He says, yeah, leave in like 10. She says, okay, bet. He said, okay, just leave at 11:45 or just leave at 11:45. She says, okay, bet. She says, hey, baby, the next day, 9:39 a.m. So she must have gone over and then hung out. He says, hey, babe. She says, how did you sleep? She says, babe, I got a sale. Oh, she was selling a lot for him. She says, 8th. He says, not bad, a little tired. She says, same, to be honest. She says, maybe want to go to the mall today. I want to go get an outfit for my birthday party. He says, maybe. She says, well, we can go to our mall or a different one. My mom for real just effed my party up. I'm so mad. And he says, why, babe? She says, she literally ordered all the shit I need thinking my party is Saturday, so I won't have any of the shit I need now. Oh, Mackenzie said, like, holy shit. She's so ungrateful. Dom says, what do you mean? Mackenzie says, now my dad isn't leaving. She says, if I for real don't want to have this anymore. Oh, so she doesn't want her dad at her party? Is that what she's saying? And then she says, F everyone. And then Dom says, then don't. Oh, he's like, then don't have the party. And she said, thanks for the help, Dom. I really appreciate it. He says, no problem. He says, if you want something done right, do it yourself. Oh, no, here we go. He thinks he's Gandhi. Buying vapes for 20 and selling for 25 doesn't make much profit when you factor in the gas money and possibility of getting caught. Yeah, where is Just Jay? I was hoping she'd come back. How do the parents not notice they have all this money? How are their parents letting them like hang out that late at night? You know what I mean? It's like 1 a.m. Okay. He says, if you want something right, do it yourself. Mackenzie says, I would if I had a card like WTF. He says, if you want something right, do it yourself. He repeated it himself. And Mackenzie says, what the F is wrong with you? This is at 10:24 a.m. She says, you are for real rude. Like, thanks for making this worse. She says, you could have helped a little. Like, you know I'm stressed and you can't help at all. I don't know why you're being such a DICK. And she says, wow, you're for real so mean. He says, how am I supposed to help you when you don't tell me what you're trying to accomplish and you just complain? She says, all you could have said is, I'll help. And you couldn't, she said. And Dom says, you could have hit me up and said, I need a ride here, etc., etc. She says, I did this morning. You said maybe. He says, or we need to do this, etc., etc. She says, the mall is for outfit. He said, no, you said go to the mall for clothes. I didn't think that was for your party. And she says, I need balloons. It is, she said, meaning the outfit. And she says, and decorations. He said, or talk to me about it later because now I'm unfocused for my reading. I'm trying to make real money out here, not throw dumb little parties. Wow. You know, he really like knocks her. They both just like knock each other down all the time. He's like, I don't care about your dumb little party. Oh my gosh. This is like, what is the right word? It's like, you know, when he like wants, he's like, go do this, have friends, do things on yourself by yourself without me. And then she like does, and then he like knocks her for it and tries to bring her down. It's like, she's damned if she does and damned if she doesn't. But then it's like toxic because she's like super crazy with him. So it's like, back and forth, like annoying. I'll say he should be dating someone his own age then. He's sorry as a jerk, but didn't deserve what she did. He has to. She only hears what she wants to hear as long as it's connected to a yes. Yeah. He says, I'm trying to make real money out here, not throw dumb little parties. She says, thanks, Dom. I don't know why you have to be so mean, she says. Like, it's important to me. And you call it a dumb little party. Like, that is effing mean. And he says, okay, well, don't come at me all crazy and shit. I'm not going to want to deal with it. She says, I didn't come at you crazy. I was telling you what happened and you were the one who said something mean first. Then don't what? Then don't. That was mean. And he said, it wasn't, but okay. She said, to me it was. Because this is so important to me. Can you please take me today? Like soon. He says, to where? She says, to Party City. He says, let me read, then shower, then we can. And she says, and the party store in Strongsville. She says, thanks, babe. I also need to go to the mall, but you don't have to come with me if you don't want to. He said, Party City by Italian Village. And she said, no. It's a different one. I want to go there too, though. And he says, oh, okay. She says, I really just need this shit or my party will be effed. It already is. He says, then don't have it that day. Just reschedule it. She says, well, what day should I have it? He says, you'd have to figure it out. She says, should I have it the same day as Lexi's? Wait, my mom might get my dad to leave, so that might save it. He says, okay. She said, she questions, should I have it the same day as Lexi? He says, I'm about to get in the shower, then do that other stuff. She says, okay, thanks so much, babe. He says, isn't Lexi party the day after yours? And Mackenzie says, yes. He says, why would you make it one day later? What would that do? She says, true. My dad will leave that day, though. Okay, so she wants to have her party, but she doesn't want her dad to be there. This is a honeymoon period. I think he gets off how insecure and obsessive and anxious she is because he seems to like to go out of his way. He's being meaner, though. I see that, but this man should have ended and he would still be alive. Rev's in mental illness as well. They have a weird codependent thing going on. Well, she don't want her dad at her party. She says, my dad will leave that day, though. He does his slot car shit that day. And Dom says, well, if you want to, then do it. She says, you think that's mean, though? He says, I don't know. He says, they ain't invited, so who cares? Mackenzie says, like she planned hers first. Okay, F it. LOL, if my dad don't leave, we'll have it tomorrow. She said, let me know when you're out so I know when to get ready. Oh my God, I hate my house so much, she says. He said, I'm out the shower. She said, okay, get ready to scoop. My fit cute AF. He says, what should I wear? She says, wear a dope fit. He says, jeans and a tank top. She sends a picture of herself in her dope fit. She's wearing like a skirt and a crop top. I'll show you guys later on the Snapchat pics or whatever. And she said, yes. He says, I can pick you up, but I'm not driving anywhere else till my hair is dry. She says, okay, that's fine. Then dry it with the blow dryer, Dom. He says, when you want me to come? She says, you can come now. That's hilarious, actually. Oh, because he has all that curly hair. He says, okay, on the way in a sec. She says, yay. And he says, here. And that was at 12:29. So then the next night, she says, good luck. Good luck, baby. He says, it went really well. And then she says, hey, baby, later in the morning. I wonder what they're talking about. And she says, how'd it go? So they went probably and hung out to the store, and then the next morning, she says, how'd it go? He says, also, Mackenzie says, also want to go to the mall today? He says, I'll tell you later. She says, Dom says, yeah, maybe. She says, okay, baby. I'm tanning right now. I also really need a Euphoria fit. And he says, okay, well, I got a link with Kyle and Jared, so we'll see. She says, should I just go alone? LOL. I got some sauce too. I don't know what that is. Oh, sales. She did a typo. I got some sales too. She says, when do you think you could do them? She says, one needs to be before 1:30. Dom said, what sales? She says, this Naomi girl and Logan. She says, I'm about to go to the mall with Maddie. He says, what do they need? She says, can I send Naomi your snap? She wants 2 puffs. 2 puff plus. And Logan needs an 8th. He says, yeah. She says, okay, bet. I think Logan was the one buying from him last time. And then Dom says, what are you doing? He says, I guess nothing. Huh. And then Mackenzie says, baby, I'm shopping right now. And then he says, should I wear jeans or Adidas pants? Black Adidas pants or black jeans? She says jeans. She says, I'm going to send you a pic in a sec. Tell me if it's cute. He said, okay. She said, get me tank tops if you see them. She says, from where, baby? He says, anywhere. He says, just size large and gray, white, or black. She says, look at Snap, babe. She says, look at the pic. And I'm getting you tank tops. They're all sold out, babe. And then she says, I'm looking for tanks. Babe, answer. She says, I'm there right now. When you going to Jared's? He says, I don't know. She says, would you want to bring me and Maddie too? It's okay if not. He says, I can bring you, not Maddie. She says, okay, when? When you want to hang? Babe? She questions it. And he says, about to hang with Smeesh, then we can hang. And she says, okay, bet, babe. Then she says, babe, got sale. When you coming home? It's at 6:22 p.m. She says, do I have time to shower? She says, I need to shave. He says, yes. Why does she always need to do that? She says, okay, bet. She says, just got out. You know what's interesting? She says, you coming? It's funny how he's like, no, don't bring Maddie, but isn't Maddie one of the girls that he cheated on her with? Oh, so now you don't want, now you want to bring Maddie. You don't want me to bring Maddie. Oh, thank you, Uncry Me. I just noticed. Sorry, I was reading. Uncry Me just gifted 20 people memberships. That is so kind. Thank you, Uncry Me. I love you and appreciate you. Wow, 20 lucky people just got a membership. That's so kind. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And welcome all new members. Say thank you to Cry Me, please, Uncry Me, please, in the chat. That's so kind. Thank you, Uncry Me. I appreciate you. Yeah, I'm not hairy, but I guess Mackenzie is. Kind of girl, she always tells him when she shaves. Like, cool. Man, she needs his approval to shave. Yeah, I guess, Sarah. Kissies. All the kissies for Uncry Me for gifting. She gets 6 kissies. Thank you, Uncry Me. Yeah, I don't know why she does that. That really kind of annoys me. She says, you coming? And welcome all new members. And Dom says, here. She says, morning. This is on 8/7 at 9:35 a.m. He says, good morning, babe. She says, I just cleaned hella. He says, nice, babe. She says, I'm gonna decorate soon. When are you coming, babe? Maddie about to be here. He says, more cells than shower. She says, okay, want to do a cell that I have? Phil needs vape and cart. You don't have to if you don't want to. Dom said, yeah, I got him. She says, did he hit you up? I told him to. And Dom says, yeah. Then she says, babe, drop off the party stuff, please, she says. He says, okay, bet. She said, you coming now? And are you staying? He said, I'm about to shower, then I'll come. So this is the day of her party. She says, yay. She says, how long? She says, babe. And he says, just got out the shower. She says, yeah, yay, wear a really cute outfit. He says, what do I wear? She says, tank and some raw pants or shorts. He says, what pants? He says, check snap. She says, just drop off the stuff, then do what you gotta do. She says, hurry, please. She emphasizes it. Babe, we need to get this done. OMG. Like, I can just come get it. Babe, do I need to? He says, I think so. What? He says giant eagle, right? Wait. Oh no, my texts are skipping. Oh no, hold on, wait. Oh no, I scrolled too fast. I don't know why it keeps doing that every time I scroll. Crap. Sorry guys, the text messages are going crazy. Oh, there. It went too fast though. Let me go back. Sorry. I have to find a different format to open these in. I think it's just so big that my computer is like, because it's 32,000 pages. So she says, hold on, what part were we on? The party. She was getting ready with for the party. Hold on, let me go back a little bit. Hold on, I want to make sure I don't miss anything. She was telling him to drop off the stuff, right? Yeah. She says, do I need to? She says, do I need to? He says, I think so. Okay, there we go. He says, giant eagle, right? What does that mean, giant eagle? She says, who? And yes. She says, do I do it first? She says, or should I get bacon first? He says, Jack Thompson. He says, fat kid with blonde hair. She says, LMFAO. Answer. She says, what first? I don't know. He says, get bacon first. She says, okay, bet. I don't know what the hell they're talking about, bacon. She says, what kind? Just get thick cut. Where did y'all park? He said, we're just parking right now. Pharmacy in the back. She's just getting bacon? I don't know. She sent a picture of the parking lot. She says, blue Honda Civic. He says, bet. She says, what bacon? We're about to check out. Oh, so like literal bacon at the grocery store. She said, babe, are you okay? Not me thinking, I thought bacon was like code word for rugs or something. Giant Eagle's a grocery store. Okay, thank you. I just saw that. No, I figured it out. I just figured it out. I'm not even going to tell you guys because you're going to be like, really, Melly? You didn't know how to figure that out on your computer? Well, no, don't come for me. I never double text anyone's partner. It's embarrassing. I'll just wait. Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, so she says, babe, are you okay? He says, yeah, LOL. She says, did you puke? He says, no, I'm about to come out and hit the bong soon. She said, okay, I was just worried. She says, OMG, I was about to tell you to bring the bong down here. She said, it's so weird. He said, LOL. She said, when are you coming? She says, what are you doing? He says, one sec, I'm doing push-ups. She says, oh, okay, babe. Get me a brisk. She says, I got you, babe. She said, set the alarm. He says, okay. She says, good night, baby. I love you. He says, I love you too, baby. Good night. So is she in the house? Or is she at her house? She says, good night, baby. I love you. He says, I love you too, baby. Good night. So then the next morning at 10:26, he says, good morning, babe. What are you doing? She says, hey, babe, I just woke up. Okay, so she's at her house. She says, I'm excited. Is my green swimsuit at your house or should I wear another one? He says, I don't know where it is. Do you want to help me activate one of my phones? Dom said. She said, sure. What do you want me to do? He says, we're going to buy the SIM cards. Then you have to just set it up. When? I'm driving there. She says, okay, when are we going? Should I get ready and come over right now? And he says, sure, I'm about to eat some food. Probably then I'm going to go to the store. She says, okay, bet. We leaving for Mentor at 12? And he says, 12:30. She says, okay, bet. There's a guy working on my house right now that looks just like Kyle. Weirdest shit ever. He says, LOL. She says, I had to stare. I thought it was him. Dom says, LMAO, where are you? She says, here. He says, don't effing touch my vent ever. Whoa. Okay, that escalated quickly. So let's go back. She said, here at 11:04. So this is the next day. So they hung out. Then the next morning, he says, don't effing touch my vent ever. Don't effing touch my vent or my thermostat ever. She says, I didn't touch any of that. 4 question marks. Also, good morning. ... He says, good morning, babe. She says, I can't smoke, okay? Today and tomorrow or the next day. He says, that's tough. What? Yeah, my vent was shut and I woke up hot AF. Mackenzie said, remember last time when your room was cold AF blowing and blowing on Maddie. I said she could close it. I'm sorry, babe. I'm a shower in a little. I feel gross AF. I'ma do math. Bruh. Guess what? He says what? She says, Logan, Cami, Phil, Karina, Logan all hit me up and need shit. Dom said, you said Logan twice. She says, oh yeah. Hold on. I meant Clara. Question mark. Babe, I'm tweaking. How far? Dom says, meeting a couple more people, then I'll pick you up. She says, so how long? He says, hour. Actually, I don't know if I'll pick you up. She says, OMG, what? He says, yeah, I haven't ate anything and you're bugging me. Wait, she does this to like get him sales and money, and then he treats her like that. Like, I just can't get over it. No, there's no good days. I don't recall them saying much I love you before this. No, they don't really. I think they've said it like twice. It's the waffles, chocolate chips all over again. Insane. Right, Shasta? I can't even lie. Okay. No, I think she says she's tweaking, not twerking. He says, yeah, I haven't ate anything and you're bugging me. She says, how am I bugging you? That's literally so mean, Dom. Peaches says, I had an ex like this. Oh, I'm sorry, Peaches. He says, yeah, I haven't ate anything. You're bugging me. And she says, how am I bugging you? That's really so mean, Dom. I came to you thinking you would help me, not yell at me. And he says, okay, yeah, I'm not going to pick you up. She says, thanks, Dom. What a great way to make me feel better. Now I know to never come to you when I need to talk. I didn't know you only help when it's your friends. He says, good way to piss me off, babe. He says, don't hit me up. She says, WTF? Something wrong with you. I don't know how the F you do this. He says, I wouldn't doubt it. She says, like I come to you crying because I need help and you do this. All you care about is your gay ass selves and friends. Like you could just let me sit here and be in pain. You do it all the time. He says, I'm very aggravatable. Is that a word? Because he put AGGRAVAT dash ABLE. Do I have to Google that? Is that a word? Okay, let me look it up. Yeah. Oh, it is just not with the dash. The word you're likely looking for is aggravatable, which means capable of being aggravated. The spelling aggravatable is common error. It didn't say it was on Webster's. No, I don't think so. I don't think so either. Oh my gosh. No, he picks a fight when he wants. He says, I'm very aggravatable. I have a lot of pet peeves, he said. Okay, I wonder if this is when he's going through like one of his episodes, because like he just starts flipping out. Agitated, Sarah? No, he literally spelt it. I can make up my own words too. Apparently, according to the last live, I make up my own words too. Okay, let's see. He says, I have a lot of pet peeves. She said, or don't answer. He said, I was texting. He said, I was texting, ? I sold that girl vapes. They were so awkward, LOL. Mackenzie said, she's weird AF, but she's cool. Can you answer when you're done texting? He says, sure. Why? She says, me and Maddie want to smoke. We seen your story. Is that a no? ? LOL. He says, I think I'm smoking with the OG porch stoners. She says, okay. Want to hang after? Maybe me, you, and Maddie. He says, I don't think I'm smoking with them, but they working. You can't even smoke though. She said, I'm a smoke today, little bit tomorrow. Like one hit tomorrow and the next day, nothing. Wow. She can't even quit smoking for one day. Hi, Mallory. Thank you for becoming a member again. Or were you already a member? If not, thank you. I appreciate you. Welcome to Mellyverse and membership. You get first look at me shaking my ass on the Melly After Darks. Had to ring it. That's what I thought. You don't like burnt toast? Burnt toast? Okay, so he says, she can't even, I was saying, she can't even stop smoking for one day. Whatever reason she's not going to smoke, she can't even do it. She's like, I'm going to take one hit. One hit. I was gifted, so I just running out. Thank you, Mallory. Okay. Okay, so she says the next day, nothing. She says, I'm going to tap out after like 2 hits, though. And he says, okay. She says, you want to scoop us from the mall? We're at the back entrance. She questions it. And he says, maybe. She says, well, we trying to leave right now. Can you call? I've been trying to call you for like 30 minutes. She emphasizes it. He says, well, sorry. I was talking to my mom. She said she's in deep depression. Oh my gosh, Austin, member for 10 months. Our baby is 1 month now. Aw. But you totally did. I totally did what? Congratulations, Austin. Austin loves me. Thank you, Austin. Can we go to Charlie's to celebrate? No, but wait, okay. I wonder, what I was saying was, I wonder if Miss Russo has things going on that we don't know about, you know? I'm just saying. Clearly, she's experiencing something here. And then we found some questionable things, right, throughout this relationship. He says, my mom says she's in deep depression. Mackenzie says, sorry, babe, I didn't know you were talking to your mom. Dom says, I know. Mackenzie says, after you're done talking to her, call me. He says, yeah, I'm about to. She says, should we just go back to my house? Dom says, yeah. She says, and will you scoop from there? Dom says, I don't know. She says, we want to smoke with you. He says, let me roll it. And don't aggravate me. She says, okay, let me know. He says, actually, I don't think I'm trying to. She says, whatever, Dom. He says, my bad. She says, you don't want to drop a vape to this kid? Oh, you wanna? He's really going to get Allie, I think. She says, you're texting me from an email. Oh, it's her iMessage. She says, Dom says, did you get a new phone? Oh, Mackenzie says, yes. I don't know how to fix it. Is it still email? He says, yeah, I'll show you when I see you. She said, still? He said, no, not now. He sent a screenshot. He says, I was just about to send you this. She says, want a boon? Me, you, Maddie, and Jared? He says, I'm playing 2K. She says, so you don't want to? He says, not really. She says, so should I tell you the kid who needs the vapes or no? Dom says, yeah. And that was at 10:45 p.m. So then the next morning, she says, what's up? 8:12, 10:46 p.m. She says, did you go back to sleep or something? He says, no, I was looking for people who got bud on Snap. Mackenzie says, oh. Dom says, please try not to be in a bad mood. I was really mad for a sec because Topher always got to be in the house in the morning. And Mackenzie says, I thought you were. I didn't ask, though. I think he's outside now. Dom said, he's so annoying. Mackenzie says, I feel it. He'll probably go back to Nikki's when your mom leaves. He says, no, he'll walk back and forth and talk out loud on the phone AF. Mackenzie says, just tell him to go back to Nikki's or just go lock the door. Where are you? He says, checking out. She says, where? Thanks for bringing me. I guess I'll just out the chips back then, put the chips back then. He says, I went all the way back to the phones. I'm going to the car now. She said, maybe come soon. I'm with Maddie. She says, want to scoop soon? Rocky River or East Harbor? She says, here. Did you want us to come in? We didn't understand you. Are you for real clueless? He says, why are you mad? She says, now you ask. He says, well, I didn't want to ask in front of everyone. She says, well, you could have texted me or put your arm around me or whispered to me. So she gets mad when he doesn't give her like affection, you know? That doesn't seem like the weed is calming her down at all. No, it's not. Why not stop for a while or cut down or something? She smoked so much she couldn't get high anymore, according to the police interview. And Cry Me, Catch Up. Oldest song. Clearly, this is where I belong, Kisses. She smoked all his weed. All of her poster smoking weed, you guys, all the ones that I have that I'm going to show you guys soon. Maybe tomorrow. She's basically just hitting the bong every time. Okay, so she says, and you know, this is interesting. She always wants him to be more affectionate, and he just like doesn't want to. He's like, no, I don't want to touch you. Like, I don't want to be affectionate. And then they end up fighting. And they're like, she's 15 here. Well, it was just her birthday, so I think 16 or 17. It's 2020. No, she's 15 here, I'm pretty sure. She says, well, you could have texted me and put your arm around me or whispered to me. Why whisper in front of friends? She said, you could have done a lot of things and you just chose to sit there. He says, what do you mean? She says, first of all, we go to the beach. Only me and Maddie swim, which is the first thing that pissed me off. Then we go to Chick-fil-A. I never said I wanted that. Then you guys just sit there and eat in front of me and don't offer me any food. Whoa. Be a big girl. Like, chill out. She was born in 2004. That's sad. If she doesn't get her way, she just freaks out. She says, so I sit there obviously mad the whole time and you don't say shit. Like today was effing ass, like everyone sucks. Dom says, you should have speaked up. We didn't have masks. I didn't want to go to the beach that much because I couldn't swim anyway. Mackenzie says, what the F did you want me to say? I didn't know until we were there. Like, we were in line. I can't just be like, oh, I don't want this. Like, no one gave an F about me. Like, I told you before we pulled in, I tried to say something to you and you said nothing. Dom said, you didn't even say anything. We were looking for places and then just went into Chick-fil-A. Like, everyone agreed on it and heard me. And Mackenzie says, I did right when we pulled in. I am so salty. Did you just leave me on red? What the F? Like, you really know how to make everything 1 million times worse. He says, sorry, I got a call. Well, 2 calls in a row. But yeah, I'm sorry, Kenzie. I didn't know. And she's like, it's whatever. Do you want to hang soon or later? And he says, probably, yeah. She says, okay, Bernie just gave me free food. He says, LOL. He says, you should have told me you were going to the mall. I could have got Charlie's. She said, Maddie said that in the car. I have no cash on me, so I couldn't go anywhere but Taco Bell or Sabaro. I don't know what that restaurant's called. Sabaro? And he says, LOL. She says, so just let me know when you want to hang. I want to hang soon. And he said, where you at? I got sales. She says, I'm with Maddie still. After your sales, want to hang? He says, yeah, I'm about to just be done. What y'all doing? She says, we dyeing Maddie's hair. He says, what color now? She says, gray. She says, you want to come over? She questions it. I got a vape cell, she says. He says, maybe I can boon with Angelo and Shmish first. She says, yes. Hurry, though. If Maddie and Alexa leave, I'll just come to your house. They're leaving soon anyways. He says, let me know what's going on. She says, I will. We're about to wash out the dye. He says, for sure. She says, they dipped. But she spelled it wrong. He says, okay, me and Shmish getting the woods right now. She says, bet, I'm a shower, so that's fine. He says, can we hang tomorrow so I can go drink with the boys? Here we go. Are you ready for this? Argument. He's drinking. They're going to fight. She's going to be jealous. Do you know what I mean? We know this. We know the cycle already. When the first time I smoked, I got wicked sick. She stinks. Not the boon. Definitely doesn't seem like, oh yeah, I already read that. Boom. No, boon. Boon, no, you can't go. Boon, like, remember they go booning, smoking, and driving, I guess that's what it's called. I didn't know that's what it was called, but I guess it's a thing. We've been through this for sure since. Okay, so he says, can I go drink with the boys? Maybe not. Maybe tonight they won't fight about it. You guys, we never know. So he says, can we hang tomorrow so I can just go drink with the boys? And she says, bruh, yeah, it's whatever. My dentist's appointment is tomorrow, though. Who are you drinking with? He says, AJ and Joey. She says, just them? I thought you were going to go see Angelo and Shmish. Dom says, no, I'm about to blaze with them first. Mackenzie says, not just AJ and Joey. Like, who's all going to be with you when you're drinking? Dom says, I don't know, AJ and Joey and their friends, probably Chip, Tooth, and Carl. Mackenzie says, have fun, babe, and stay safe. If you need anything, call me and I will come straight to you. Don't overdo it. Oh, and he says, okay, babe. Wow. She says, I love you. Stay safe, baby. She says, would I be able to go to your house and get vapes and sell them? He says, get as many as you'd like. She says, okay, bet, babe. He said, good luck. Oh, so that was on 8/13 at 9:03. And then at 8:32, he says, good luck tomorrow, babe. I love you so much. Oh, for her appointment. She says, love you so much, babe. I'm about to go right now. She's going back to the dentist. She says, I'm so mad. What kind of lawyer is your mom? Wow, she let him go out and drinking, no fighting. We were wrong. Mackenzie says, what kind of lawyer is your mom? We're pressing assault charges. Dom says, I don't know, for real. She says, can you come back, please? He says, give me a little longer. I need to get shit. She says, I'm scared. Babe. When I'm on the way back, roll a wood and let's boon. He said, so what's going on? She says, I've been waiting for these dumbasses for like 30 minutes. Like, I just want to dip at this point. He says, okay, bet. She says, and about to be on the way home in a second. He says, bet. On my way right now. He says, I'm just smoking with Louis and TJ real quick. Then I got to serve Brandon and Maddie. Then I'm home. She says, smoking what? I'm going to be home in 19. She says, and Maddie who? Oh, never mind. He says, LOL. She said, I'm going to be at your house soon. Did she just forget who her friend Maddie was? She said, did you just leave Luis's house yet? If you didn't scoop me before cells, if you didn't scoop me before you go to cells, I'm at your house. He says, yeah, I'm on the way to Maddie. That was at 6:38 p.m. the next morning. She says, good morning, baby. He says, good morning, babe. She says, what are you doing right now? He says, about to shave, then shower. And she says, oh, want to do something today? I'm getting my nails done today, babe. Again? She says, how much should I pay Andrew to do my schoolwork? Wait, she pays her friends to do her schoolwork? Like, she can't even do her own schoolwork. Wow, that's truly so sad. Truly so sad. I know, Sarah. We are like the last ones that got to grow up without a cell phone. The last generation. I'm going to start telling my... Sarah says I'm going to start using Scoop. I'm sure they were constantly driving and texting. You guys, I'm not even like I'm the worst texter, but like literally this is like every minute of every day. It's insane. She says, also, how much should I pay Andrew to do my schoolwork? She says, just summer school math. And he says, I have to see the math work, and yeah, we can do something later. I'm going to stop by Brody's birthday party. It's not his actual birthday. Cousin, that was a month ago. I'm in to stop by there because Kyle and Bradbury and Luis and AZ be there, and then we can do something. Mackenzie says, okay, bet. She says, after I get my nails done, I'm going to bring you Theraflu, babe. Oh, not Theraflu, Fair Food. LMAO, she says, the F. He says, okay, love you, babe. She says, love you too, babe. We're seeing them say I love you more. Okay. Then she says, what are you doing, babe? She says, about to get Fair Food for us right now. He says, about to be to Kyle's. She says, what food do you want? Lemonade and fries? What if they have gyro? He says, just get fries and funnel cake and stuff. She says, bet, I will, babe. You want to sell to Marissa? They have gyros. He says, I don't know, are they good? She said it was a 2-hour wait, like hella people. He says, damn. She says, right, I really wanted Fair Food. I'm going to get it early tomorrow. And he says, you want to do the drive-thru later tonight? She says, it closes at 7. She says, so gay, 11 to 7 p.m. She says, pick me up when you leave Kyle's, though. And he says, okay. He says, oh, for real? The one in Lodi? She says, what do you mean? What one in Lodi? She says, the one I went to is on Bagley. He says, no, there is a drive-through fair in Lodi, I think. She says, oh, bet. Find out if there is. I'm home and I got you something, she says. Bet what you get. She says, cake pop. He says, bet. He's like, I don't give a shit about the cake pop. Yeah, I don't know. She didn't go back to the assault thing. She's like, I got you something. Cake pop. Doesn't surprise me she lets people do her schoolwork. She's in high school. She can't do shit. She can't shower. She can't leave her boyfriend alone. She can't go to the dentist. She's crying. She needs, you know what I mean? He told her before she doesn't like or want those cake pops. Sassy says, to be honest, Mackenzie doesn't seem so bright or that she cared about her education. Her parents let her skip all the time, even before the pandemic. Starbucks. Is that really true? What a jerk face. You can learn a whole made-up language but not do your schoolwork. That tracks actually. Right, Shasta. Maybe she should try some of that homework. Okay, so he says, bet. Remember the cake pop? And she says, when you coming? She says, babe. He says, I don't know. I'm waiting for Connor and Hennessy to get here. I only been here an hour. She says, can I come? She says, babe, because he didn't respond. She says, it's okay. If not, I just want to hang with you. He says, yeah, probably not. I'll talk to you when I'm back. She says, who's all there? Isn't Vinny cool with him? And Dom says, Vinny and Blake left. She says, oh, okay, good. LOL. Dom says, LOL, I know. Weird ass Vinny. And she says, ALR, text me before you leave. All right, text me before you leave. Don't forget to scoop. And he says, okay, I will. And then he says, what's up? At 8:10 p.m. She says, I just want to know when you're leaving. It's getting late. He says, hour. She says, so we're not going to the fair food anymore. I also have 2 sales, babe. Okay, ... The power just went out. Thanks for answering, Dom. Shake my effing head. And he said, I was playing basketball with Luis. I'm sorry. She says, half my street just has no power. He says, really? Just got to my house. She says, yeah, I'm scared AF. I'm outside. Come get me. It's all right, Mackenzie. Like, you don't have power. It happens, you know, like in the winter and stuff. Like, it's called storms and it's called weather. Like, it's called agua. Maybe she blew a fuse. You know what? Her parents probably went. She's like, I'm scared. I'm going to go outside where it's even dark too, because she said the whole street is down. She says, come get me. He says, I'm not over a half hour away. She says, what? He says, I'm over a half hour away. She says, why? You said you would be home in an hour too. Like, ... I'm not trying to wait at your house for over 20 minutes for you. He said, I said I'd leave in an hour. I'll leave soon. She says, it's been longer than an hour. He says, well, can I leave in a little? She says, can't you just leave now? You've been there for a long ass time. You said we could hang later. I'm going to be tired soon. Whatever, Dom, I'm here, but I'll probably be going to be tired by the time you finally decide to come back. OMG. He says, okay, I'll eat, then leave. She says, your mom is making dinner. You're making me so mad right now. Like, why do you need to stay there for 4 hours? Plus, you have been there all day, and that kid is such an FAG. Rolling my eyes. You guys know I don't like that word. She just immediately walked back outside when she saw the lights were off. Yeah, literally. She probably didn't even try the light switch. Oh, half the street. Still, don't go outside where there's killers. The name calling is gross. I agree. She says, that kid is such an FAG. Don't tell me we can't hang later if you're going to do this. She says, so effing annoying. I for real just want to leave now. She loves one of her own messages. Then she says, OMG. I don't know why the F you randomly do this shit to me. What the F is wrong with you? She says, I'm mad AF at you. What the F is wrong with you? Effing liar. How can you be so nice and then do this 3 hours later? He says, plans changed. I'm sorry. And it's literally 10:42 p.m., you guys. And she says, you're such a liar. Like, why the F do you do that? I let you do so much shit. I literally don't give an F. Then you act like this. WTF. Like, you're not sorry. You don't care at all. Like, how can you be so mean? Like, you haven't ignored me like that in so long. I thought you were actually done doing that. I should have never texted your friend to see what was up with you. Like, what the F? You can't even answer? Like, you're being so fake right now. Blank message. If you don't answer, we're going to have issues, Dom. You can't just do this shit. She emphasizes it. You don't care at all. Like, why the F you say sorry and then you do the same thing? Your words mean nothing. Why do you just lie? You're so effing mean for no reason. Answer right now. Effing liar. She questions it. He says, I'm on my way home after 6,725 million gazillion text messages. Yo, she's nuts. I have experience with psychos. Sucks for you. Usually at least he gets a about to be mad warning. Yeah, I know. Okay, so then he says, I'm on the way home. 11:06 p.m., by the way. Wait, okay, I have to say this. That would bug the shit out of me if someone was doing that to me all the time. Like, oh, change of plans, basically at midnight. Like, come on, you guys. That's a little much for me. Oh, I know. So he says, I'm on the way home. He says, I wasn't lying about anything. She says, you're a liar. I don't care what you have to say. You lied to me and you ignored for no reason. He says, did not ignore you. She says, I let you do so much shit. Like I'm chill and you do this for no reason. Yes, the F you did. And he says, actually, I didn't. She says, like, when you told me to come to your house, when you told me to come to your house and you will be home soon. What happened to that? Question mark, question mark. And he says, but there wasn't good reception. Oh, geez. He says, you didn't go to my house. She says, yes, I did. I said I did. She's typing in caps now, like 20 times. He says, you there? She says, I've been there since the power went out. Like, OMG, what the F is wrong with you? He says, oh, well, that's good. She says, don't try to be nice now. Like, you effed me over. Like, I thought you were done doing this. And F Kyle, I don't F with him at all. You done walking all over me. He says, I wasn't walking all over. Wait, she's mad because she lost power. So she's like, when are you going to be home? I'm coming over because he has power. So then she goes over there and he doesn't come. And now she's over here having a literal meltdown, like a literal meltdown. You guys realize every time this happens, it like escalates. She's like, no, you did. Like it really, this little thing turns into like a huge thing as if it's his problem. She's like, now you're walking all over me. Like, you didn't do what I said. You're horrible. Like, you're being mean. And he's just like, dude, you're the one who invited yourself over because you didn't have power. He's like, I wasn't walking all over you. She says, yeah, you always do. And he's like, I was trying to chill for a bit. I do everything with you. I never walk all over you. She said, you could have told me you wanted to stay longer, Dom. He says, I treat you like a god, babe. Whoa, back up. He's taking it too far here. That's an effing lie. And we're all going to call that shit out right now. He does not treat her like a god. They both are mentally unwell. What Abuelita says, I would be like, bitch, go sit in the dark. And shut the F up. I'm dying. She allows him to do things. Go away. Wait, he says, I treat you like a god, babe. Does he mean like I treat you like a queen? Went from princess to god. With the chupacabra. Kenzie said she treats him like a god. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is too much. He says, I treat you like a god, babe. She says, you were ignoring me for no reason. Like, what the F did you do? He says, I didn't have good reception, babe. She says, like, when I was obviously upset, you just ignored me. You could have told me that before you left. And he says, I'm sorry. She says, no, you're not. Like, where the F even are you? Where did you even go? And he says, I stopped at Kyle's to finish the blunt. She says, oh my, OMG, what the F is wrong with you? You can't stop lying on the way home, quote unquote. She says, like, WTF, like, you don't care at all. You were so disrespectful for no reason. OMFG, so effing fake. Why does she keep saying that? Oh my God, I can't stand it. She's like, you're so effing fake. I know some fake ass hoes. No. Anyways, you're so fake, she says. Not me starting to get petty. This is what happens at dark time. And she beats him down, the doormat that he always walks all over. Sunshine says, I don't know any teenage boy that would put up with this monster. Dom obviously did. He treats her like the gum on his shoes, that is. Why does he need to be home tonight? They didn't even have plans. Says the girl who lives in La La Land. Right. Okay, so she says, so effing fake. He says, well, I was on the way home, but I stopped at Kyle's to smoke the blunt we rolled in Medina. And I'm not fake. What do you mean? She's like, why the F were you even there? And he said, I'm just chilling with Kyle and Luis and Connor. She says, leave, bruh. I'm at your house. I swear to God. And he says, why? She says, like, you're so dumb. You lie to me all day. You're such a effing DICK. I can't. He says, I didn't lie to you. She's typing in caps. Yes, the F you did. And he's like, I didn't lie to you at all. She's like, OMG, if you don't come back, I'm going to flip the F out. Come back right now or we're about to have hella issues. Like, you say sorry, then do the exact same shit. So childish. And he says, what do you mean? Chill. She says, like, you told me to come over. I'm at your house. And he says, I said you could. She says, come right now. And he says, because your power is out. Exactly. He was like, yeah, you can go over there and shower, whatever you needed to do. But he wasn't like, oh, I'm coming home to see you and kiss your feet right now. Like, she needs to chill and smoke that blunt or something. How does she even get to his house? Does she have a key or code? Yo, Tay, at this point, she's probably breaking in through the damn window. Like, we don't even know. Yes, Sarah, she has borderline personality disorder. Shirilla house lost water. Lost water power. Park the trailer somewhere else. I'm dying. I'm not coming home. She sounds like the type to take 2 hits and sleeps for 12 hours. What did Sassy Pants say? I need aspirin. Through the chimney. You guys, I can't. That was funny. What, Melly, why don't you ever call her controlling? Continuously. She's far worse than controlling. We need a new word for that. We need a new word for it. Let me look up. We need to, controlling is like too nice at this point. We need to figure out a different word because she's just way too much. Maybe she's just tripping on shrooms and turned off the lights. Stop being so freaking funny. And sees like she's Jodi Arias. I actually feel that. I really actually do. It's about time we look back into Jodi Arias too. She could be dictator. Says abuelitas. Bomber says asshole. Insufferable. You guys are, I can't. He says, I said you could come over because your power is out. She says, come right now. And he says, why? She says, Dom, if you don't come right now, we're going to have issues. I'm not even lying. Why does she threaten that? I'm sorry. That gets under my skin. That's like triggering for me. I don't know. It's triggering me to like, why do you keep threatening we're going to have issues? Like, do you really want to have issues? Because like, let's have issues then, like real ones, you know, like that's the type of girl I am. I don't think Dom ever gave her a key. I don't like it. She threatens him every single time she's mad. No guy would like this ever. Oh. Yeah, I don't think so. And she says, okay, I'm done. Look if she would have just dropped it there and moved on, she wouldn't be in prison right now. Well, maybe she would, but maybe Dom wouldn't be gone and it would be someone else. Something to ponder about. She says, if you don't come back right now, it will prove that you're not sorry and you don't care. Never tell me you love me if you're going to treat me like this. And he says, what? With 6 question marks. She says, you don't care that I'm upset. And he says, why? 4 question marks. She says, all you care is about them and your gay ass blunt. Like, I've been here upset. And he says, Kenzie, I'm with you. Everything, I'm with you every night. Sorry, my plans changed. She said, you told me soon several times. He says, you're only upset because I haven't been home. She says, that was an effing lie. What happened to quote unquote, I'll eat, then I'll come back. You just ignored me. How the F do you expect me to feel? She says. And he says, well, I was eating for a while. LOL. They sang happy birthday and had cake. And she's like, read what you said. And he's like, I didn't even have good reception. She's like, before you started ignoring. You told me earlier in the day that we can hang later too, which I guess wasn't true. He's like, plans change. She's like, since when did you lie? And the fact that you can't even get the F up and come to your house is so childish and fake. Mackenzie, you're overusing the word fake and you're using it in the wrong sense, girl, like in the wrong term. He's not fake. You mean flake. Like he's a flake, not a fake, because he's not faking anything. He's just telling you that he's going to be home soon and he's not. That's not being fake. That's being a flake. Like, is she high? Because I'm just wondering why she keeps saying fake. That's what I'm saying. She was destined for prison, said Twisted Stitches. Dom would have to leave the state to get rid of her. Like another planet. Just like she threatened to file charges against him for having seed porn on his phone, pics that she sent him and others. I wonder if there's like, if they could do something about that, because she skips her homework too much, because I don't feel like that's fair. What she was trying to do, like blackmail him. She says, and fake. Like, I'm so effing nice to you. I do anything for you. And you do this shit? She says, you got me effed up. Like, I told you I'm upset and you still won't come. All you care about is your friends. He says, well, I don't see why you're upset. She says, if you cared, you would be here. He says, I've only been nice. She says, and you're not. He says, okay, you tripping. She says, and you're still not on the way. And if you don't leave, I'll come to Kyle's. He says, I put you before my friends all the time. She says, no, the F you don't. He says, yeah, I do. She said, stop lying. He says, I'm not. What do you mean? She says, I'm going to flip the F out. See, you won't even come back. You don't care. He says, okay, I'll come back soon, but you can't be doing this. She says, I can't believe this. Stop acting dumb. Literally at midnight. It's 11:59 p.m. And she says she's doing this. And he says, what do you mean? I really didn't do anything. I told you I'd be home at 9, then I said plans changed. She says, don't act like you didn't just lie to me, then ignore me for 4 hours and be shady AF, and your friend won't tell that I told him to tell you to call me. She's like texting and hitting up his friends and being like, where is he? Where is he? Lily Lore, where have you been? I miss you. It gives me anxiety thinking about getting a text from her. Holy shit. Like, I don't want anybody calling and texting every day, let alone 11 times per day. I know. Oh shit, Kenzie is at the house. Never mind. I bet her mom treats and talks to her dad the exact same way. Thank you, Chris QT. Yes, she did. This is learned behavior. She didn't just wake up one morning and is like, oh, I'm going to treat and be verbally abusive to my boyfriend and put my hands on him and be crazy. Like, no, she learned this behavior from Natalie Shirilla. Maybe not Natalie, maybe Natalie. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. Yeah. I loved it. Okay, so she says, told your friend to tell you to call me. She said, you never said plans changed until after you ignored me. Like, you effed up. I'm over it. She says, if you don't come back right now, I'm leaving and we're going to have an issue. There she goes with the issue again. Product of her environment. Exactly. Learned toxic behaviors. Product of her environment. She says, if you don't come back right now, we're going to have issues. And he says, Kenzie, come on. She says, I swear to God, Dom, I'm not letting you treat me like this. I do so much for you. He says, Kenzie, I do hella for you. She says, like, leave. Why is that so hard? I will for real come there, she said. Dom said, I was just trying to have a good time for a little. She says, I don't care. He says, why do you got to do that to me? She says, you ruined my whole night. You lied. He says, how? I didn't lie. She says, you effed me over. Stop telling yourself that. He says, how did I lie? She says, holy shit. He says, how? You're about to make me go crazy, she says. Effing leave right now. And he says, how did I lie? She says, I'm for real just gonna leave. He says, explain to me what I did. Because I didn't think I lied. I don't remember lying. And she says, leave right now. He says, why? She says, she questions, I'm on my way home. Emphasizes, okay, I'll leave then eat. She's questioning all his messages. She sends a screenshot of his own message. She says, you're such a dumbass. Why the F you keep saying why? She says, like, you know why. And Mackenzie says, and you said sorry so many times and you're still being disrespectful. It's funny how your friends just let you do this. And Dom says, I'm not trying to. She says, F them all, Dom. And she says, if you don't leave right now, like I said, I'm leaving and we're about to have issues. Maddie can come get me right now. And he says, okay, I'll eat then leave. She said, you said that before. He says, I want some pizza real quick. She said, your mom made effing food. I don't give an F. No. She says, what did she make? And Mackenzie says, right now. Dom, if you don't come, you don't care. I will literally be so mad at you. And he says, I'm doing what you said. I've only been here like 20 minutes. She says, I don't care. You told me you were on the way home, not on the way to Kyle's. Dom, come right now. If you don't come, you don't care about me. And I'm leaving. He says, okay, I'll come, give me a sec to eat this pizza. And he says, Mackenzie says, no, I don't give a F about the pizza, like at all. Come right now. She says, like, get in your car and leave right now. She says, OMG, like, you care more about pizza than me? And he's like, I'm hungry. And he's already getting it. She says, don't call me G, the F, ever. She says, and I don't care. Leave or I'm leaving. You care more about pizza than your girlfriend. So effing childish. Answer, the F. Like, I know you're on your phone. You're being so fake, Dom. He says, I wasn't, but okay. She says, I'm for real about to be so mad. He says, I was actually getting ready to leave. She says, oh yeah, I bet you are. Dom, I swear to God, if you're not in the car, I'm dipping. He says, yeah, LOL, I'm still deciding because it's pizza. LOL. She says, I'm not putting up with this shit ever again. He says, okay, you can dip. I don't care. She says, I thought you were going to be done acting 10 years old. Oh, you don't care? Finally, you say it. And he says, well, I care, but you can leave if you want to. She says, if you care, you would be here. You would be here for me. And he says, that wouldn't affect me at all. She says, you wouldn't have done this to me. You're such a DICK. F you, she says. And Dom says, why do I have to be there for you? What's going on? And she says, F you. She says, Dom says, that's so crazy. She says, you're fake AF. He says, like, I thought it was just a normal night. And she says, you're such a child, Dom. You made it like this. You started everything. Come back right now. Get in the car right now. He says, WTF? She says, I will for real pick you up. He says, I'm mad at you. She says, I'll just come there. Oh, you're mad now? She says, you always got to make it about you. After you're the one who did me dirty. If you don't come, we're having issues. Like, I'm not even playing. And he says, you're being childish AF. She says, Dom, you are. He says, you're the one acting 10. She says, oh, really? See, so you're not the one who lied 5 times in a span of 4 hours? He says, I didn't lie. She says, like, why do you care more about them than me? Yes, you did. And she says, like, how can you just do this to me? Like, you never told me you loved me today, Dom. WTF. I tell you I'm upset and you still can't come. He says, I didn't. She says, like, this is so effed up. I don't deserve this at all. He says, I tell you that every day. I'm on the way back. She says, like, this shit isn't fair to me. I sit here and wait for you thinking you're coming and you just ignore me. I sit here and think and you just let ignoring me. She's so mad she can't even type. And he's like, it's really not fair to me. She says, like, it feels like you don't care. He says, swarming my life, you don't tell me what to do. She said, if you cared, you would have came right when I said I was upset or when you said soon the first time. The only reason I flipped because you ignored me and lied to me. It just isn't fair, and you know that upsets me, and yet you do it anyway. Like, you knew I was at your house. Like, I don't know if you actually on the way back or you're still there. How far are you even? Question mark, question mark. Good night, babe, she said at 3:18 in the morning. So their night ended there. Yes, Tay, that's literally where it's going. This dynamic is bizarre. It is. Sure, she'll be putting up with this. That's the crazy part. I wish poor Dom maybe had a short stint with a nice girl. Yeah, I know. I think Dom was on the spectrum. Anyone else would have chucked her the deuces. Yeah, you guys, we're almost done with this year. That's crazy. Okay, so let's see. Oh, yep, the next morning, Dom says, good morning, baby. Oh, so now he's the one saying good morning to her. This is crazy. This is crazy. Okay, so he says, good morning, baby. And she says, morning. She says, how did you sleep? He says, pretty good. She says, you want to hang soon? Question mark, question mark. She says, I don't know why you just stopped talking, but it's whatever. 11:07 a.m., 8:16. She emphasizes it. You don't have to be so mean. And he sends a picture of a bruise on his arm. He says, get the things you want, and when you give her the money, say and 35 on pump 3 premium. Wait, he sent her a picture of something, and then he's saying, get what you want and then give her money. So they must be at the gas station. And then it ends there. And then the next morning on 8:17, she says, morning, baby. He says, good morning, babe. She says, I want to get up, but Cam is sleeping with me. He says, yeah, I'm just chilling too. He says, I got court today. Mackenzie says, I don't know why I keep forgetting about that. She says, what time? He says, we're leaving at 12:15. She says, you want to hang before you go? He says, yeah, you want to put money on your card and get those shoes? She says, yeah, I'm down. She says, want me to come over right now? He says, yeah, I'm on the toilet. She says, okay, LOL, I'll be over soon, babe. He says, okay. He says, I have to leave soon. She says, I'm on the way right now. Ooh, I wonder what he has court for. He says, take all the singles and put them in the bank. She says, shit, I already dipped. I'll do it in a little. He says, bet, do it when you can. She says, I will, babe, and good luck today. For real, if you're bored on the ride there, send me game. Send me game pigeon. He says, okay. Want me to get dropped off at your house? She says, babe. He says, yeah. She says, I'm there. He says, okay. So they hung out. And then the next morning, she says, good morning, babe. Want to get cannolis today? Are you good? And he says, yeah, I was sleeping. She says, oh, damn. Olive Garden calamari? She says, tell me what, that doesn't sound bad right now. That doesn't sound so bad right now. He says, so bad? She said, good. He says, it does. I haven't eaten breakfast. What other edibles should I make? She says, brownies. You told me you can make hella different kinds. He says, get me 4 boxes of golden grams and 10 bags of marshmallows. She says, how much chocolate? He says, I don't know, get a bunch of bags of Baker's chocolate. Get a couple cans of marshmallow fluff. She says, you got to pay me back, though. He says, and get a couple boxes of brownies. He says, I know. And she says, okay, damn, hella shit. He says, get some unsalted butter, like 8 sticks, and let me check how much oil I have. She says, okay, LMFAO. He says, probably just get a little thing of vegetable oil, too. She said, okay, LOL. She says, I really hope I don't have to use my $100 bill. He said, stop by and grab some 20s. He said, get some extra golden grams, too. She says, we're already at the drug mart pretty much. He says, I know. I don't know if you'll find everything there. She says, I'm a try. Okay, so Dom's making his own edibles, which means his parents know and are aware that he's making the edibles. This is crazy. Hey, Phoenix. Beth says, Dom knows exactly what's going on. He literally drove the weak-minded girl crazy to the point she killed him. Not victim blaming, but these kids, man. Sad. Pay attention to your kids, peeps. I agree, Beth. Okay, so she's getting brownie stuff. She says, I'm a try. And he says, word. She says, what oil? She says, ASAP. Okay, I'm getting vegetable oil. And he says, cool. She says, what's it called? Vegetable oil? Dude, what is wrong with this girl? She said, what's the vegetable oil called? Does she mean like what brand or what? Like, she says, what's it called? She says, and what cloth? He says, cheesecloth. She says, okay. He says, it's like a net thing. She says, okay, will Giant Eagle have it? We're going there for the chocolate. Did AJ get my speaker? And he says, let me call him. She says, okay, let me know. She questions it. He says, I don't know if they will have you. They will. You have to look. And she says, I'm at Giant Eagle right now. He says, for sure. She says, we'll be over soon. He says, word, I'm waiting for this to decarb. Then I got to shower real quick. She says, okay. Would chocolate chips be okay too? She says, we coming. He says, bet. She says, or we can wait. He said, I'm about to shower real quick. She said, okay, never mind. Yay. Well, we can just kick it and I can hit a bong, baby. And he says, yeah, I was going to roll wood. She says, oh, bet. I have a surprise for you, she says. We here right now, by the way. He says, not graham crackers, golden grams. She says, okay, I'll find them. He sends a screenshot of the crackers. And she says, okay. She says, they only have one box at Drug Mart. Now we have to go to another grocery store. And Dom says, did Blake hit you or Maddie to give you the speaker? She says, Maddie texted Blake and he gave it to us. He said, okay, I was about to fight everyone. Mackenzie said, why? What did you think? Dom said, I don't know, because AJ said that Blake said he was giving it to you and Maddie, and if y'all didn't have it, I just have to fight Blake, then probably bitch slap AJ for getting played like a bitch. Mackenzie says, yeah, for real, I'm just happy I got it now. She said, I thought I was going to lose it or would never get it back. She says, babe, are you waiting to spark the wood? He says, yes, it's really fat. She said, bet. He says, I've been doing the oil right now. She says, we getting cereal right now. He says, what are you doing right now? And she says, meeting with Michael right now. She said, Dom said, I want some food. Are you hungry? And she says, yeah, I'm hungry AF right now. What should we get? She says, I've been craving calamari. He says, where could we get it? We could go to Buka's or Japanese place. She said, ooh. He says, let me know. She said, I could do both, to be honest, like Shinto or Buka, hard choice. They both smack. Flip coin. He says, Buka only big ass meals though, right? Mackenzie says, I only been to Buka one time, so I don't really remember. He says, Buka has good calamari. She says, should we just go get that then? I'm about to be at your house. We'll look at menus. Maddie's car's here. Dom says, if you want to chill with Maddie for the night, do that. Because I think Smeesh coming back. Mackenzie says, I would rather chill with you. Do you want to hang with them? babe, she emphasizes, I would rather chill with you. And then he says, yeah, can I hang with them and maybe I can pick you up if like Bernie comes or something. Mackenzie says, I can't even hang with Maddie right now or tonight. She got to get up at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Dom says, damn, what you want to do then? Mackenzie says, cuddle and have fun. Dom says, let me see what they doing. She says, okay, answer ASAP. Should I get dropped off at yours or mine? And so that was on 8:18 at 9:08. And then he says, hey, baby, you up? That's at 10:40. She says, yes, baby. I'm just too high. He says, I'm watching B-ball. I wanted to see what you were doing. So you're too fried? Good night, baby. Love you. She said, I was way too high at 5:30 a.m. I am still low key. Good night, baby. Love you too. And he says, I'm up too, babe. 5:32. And she says, want to FaceTime? Why are you up, babe? He says, I woke up on the couch. Wow. They're FaceTiming at like 5 in the morning. He says, I woke up on the couch. That's 11:03. Then the next day, he's like, the same day, 11:03. He says, hey, baby, I'm going to chill with Thomas later today. You should come over right now. And she says, yay. I'm tired AF right now, but I got to get all ready and shit. He says, let me know. She says, how long have you just been in the bathroom? I'm going to leave if you yell at me again. Oh, so she went over and they're having problems. She says, I'm going to leave if you yell at me again. Cuddle and have fun. Yeah, I know. What does that mean? Ew. Just kidding. Oh, I saw that, Phoenix. Wait, I thought they were cuddling. No, they're not cuddling. No. Now. I know they went from cuddling to like now they're hanging out at his house and she's over there and she's like, if I'm going to leave if you yell at me again. She says, like, when someone tells you that they're having an uncomfortable day, I don't think that means yell at someone. Okay, she says, we have beef. Oh, here we go. She says, I swear to God, you're such a DICK. Let me, like, if you can actually leave right now, I know you don't care about me. Oh, okay, we about to have to talk. I'll just wait here for you since you want to be disrespectful. I'm going to go to your house and get a, she said, I'm going to go to your house and get a, and that ends there. And then she says, where are you at right now? He says, smoking with Thomas. And she says, when are you coming back? She says, want to hang when you're back? This is literally later in the day. She says, you're a DICK. You did that for what? Like, you really acting different today. He says, I really didn't do anything, babe. Thomas leaves Friday. If we don't go to Husney's, we can chill. She says, I don't know why you had to ask Angelo. Not really his biz. And I have a lot of better things to do, so be happy I want to chill with you. Or just leave me on red. He's like, sorry, I got to do some shit real quick. She says, sorry means nothing to anyone. I feel like you have just been rude today. And he says, okay. She says, then you just say okay. Like, shake my effing head. Are you going to Husney's? He says, no, I'm not, babe. And she says, okay, that was at 11:03 p.m. the next morning. She says, morning, babe. Do you know what the red pen I brought to your house? Do you still have it all together, even the metal thing? He says, maybe. I have the red thing. She says, I'm going to sell it to Gavin, but I'm about to shower right now. Babe, want to hang today? And he says, yeah, okay, only for a little though. She says, how long is that, babe? She says, and why only a little? He said, because I'm with Thomas right now, then I'm going to chill with Trevor, then we're all thinking linking at Husney's tonight. She says, bruh, so you really just want to be with Thomas all day? And you're going to say no to me coming to Husney's, but it's whatever. Dom says, no, I'm about to leave soon. I'm just trying to chill with my homie before I don't see him for 6 months at college. You'd feel the same about your friends, Kenzie. But yeah, we can chill later. Let me chill with Trevor too. She says, who says I don't feel that way about them? He's going to be 30 minutes away. You can go see him. But it's okay. I don't really care. It's annoying AF, she says. He says, no, he's going to be 2 hours away, babe. Look up Newark. It's by Columbus. And no, I haven't seen Trev in a month. I got to go chill with him too. She says, I mean, I drive 2 hours to see an old friend, but like, it's just annoying how you won't bring me with. But I know you're the only one who cares if I come. He says, sorry, I don't want you to come to a meat fest. Like 9 N-words deep and just you, when you know no one pretty much. And it's just going to be Thomas, Ty, Husme, and them. And I don't see why one night is a big deal. Like, stop being a bitch, he said. And then she says, didn't this conversation end like an hour ago? He says, I don't know. I have so many messages. I message the same people on both phones. She says, when can you hang? He says, I don't know. Let me hang with Trevor. Then we can. He like doesn't want to bring her around his friends. Like, don't you get it? I'll say anytime he makes plans with his friends, she has beef. Why does she always think she can just tag on too? Like, no, they don't want to hang out with you. Okay, let's see. So he sends a screenshot of a text message and he said, see, Thomas, my straight brother, he appreciates me more than I even know. Mackenzie says, he's a good friend. She says, want to go out to eat tonight? This is the next day. He says, we could still have to go to Trevor's. He just hit me up. Mackenzie says, we should go get crab legs. I'm starving. He says, maybe. He says, that's expensive. And she says, I will buy my own crab, babe. He says, you're not allowed to buy your own crab. She says, why, babe? He says, because that's not how it works. She says, hit me up when you're about to leave Trevor's, babe. And he said, okay, babe. And then that was at 6:00 p.m., 6:45. She's like, when are you going to be done, babe? 45 minutes later. He says, I don't know. I'm doing a sell real quick, then going to Trevor's. And she says, I thought you were already there. He says, no, I've been too busy, babe. She says, what time are you going to be able to hang? He says, about to go to Trevor's. She said, okay, I just DoorDashed the crab legs. He said, okay. She said, how long? He said, we're still at Trevor's smoking. She says, well, how long? He says, I'm dipping soon. She says, scoop. He says, okay. She says, let me know when you're on the way. He says, okay. She says, question mark. And then that text ends there. And then she said, good morning, babe. About to go to the dentist the next morning on 8/21. He says, what dentist? She says, a new one. I don't know where yet. He says, nice. She says, I just hope it's not full of R words. RETARDS. He says, probably will be. She says, I hate the dentist so much, babe. He's like, LOL, it's fine. She says, I'm about to be there. It's huge. He says, where are you going? She says, advanced care anesthetics. Want to hang when I leave? They have a welcome picture for me. He says, yeah, we could probably hang. She says, yay. I'm leaving soon, babe. It's going to be really hot today. At 3, I want to go to my house so I can see this kid. He says, what kid? And it's only going to be 80. She said, Joshy, and it's going to be 82. He says, oh, LOL. She says, yes, babe. I'm going to be gone soon. She means I'm going to be home soon. He says, what do you mean? Home. She says, my bad. He says, oh, okay. He says, I'm going to go smoke half this blunt with Sheen, then we can chill. She says, yay. Okay. When is Devin leaving? Question mark. And he says, I don't know. Hour or so. She says, I thought you blocked me. Why the F did Farron just text me? She cheated the F out of me. I can't trust Maddie at all. I wasn't even talking about Pisstown Hannah. Like, WTF. Why do you just leave me on red? Bruh. She says, F all of y'all. Everyone's fake. It's been like 2 hours. When is he leaving? You can come home in like 5. He says, what's up? She says, come get me. Pick me up in the cul-de-sac by my house, though. Babe? Okay. He says, I'm talking to someone. That's why I ended the call, because it's rude to answer the phone when you're talking to someone. She said, well, you said you would get me after you did yourselves, and I didn't think you did that. Like, I'm ready for you to come get me now. Just come pick me up at my house. Do you want me to just get a ride? She questions it. He says, I don't know, babe. My phone died, so many messages, all messed up. He sends a screenshot, and then she says, question mark. Should I just leave? Like, all you want to do is play basketball. I wonder when you're going to start giving me attention again. Oh my God. Hey, Phoenix. Thank you for becoming a new member. I just saw that. Sorry, I was reading. Thank you. Remember Trevor Alexander's friends didn't like Jody. Friends, no. I agree. Sorry, let me fix my chair. Yeah, I know. I agree with that. It's been a long day. Thank you for becoming a member, Phoenix, and supporting. You better charge that shit, I'll say. Imagine walking up to the dentist with all the cavities, because remember, she has 10 cavities. Okay, she says, let's continue. I got friends in those places. She says, I wonder when you're going to start getting me attention again. Acting how you are right now just makes me in a worse mood. I don't know why you never learn, she says. Here are you. Oh, she means where? Where are you? Why are you out there again? He says, I grabbed the cans and now I'm just chilling outside. She says, well, can you come in? He says, yeah. That was on 8/21 at 7/21. And then she says, love you, babe, at 2:32 a.m. She says, love you, babe. And then the next morning, at 9:30, he says, good morning, baby. She says, how did you sleep? Want to do some fun shit today? He says, I don't know. I might have a lot of stuff to do. She says, can I come with? She says, it's okay if not, babe. He says, you can't come over right now, but we could probably chill today. She says, that's fine. He says, for sure. She says, the high temperature today is 86. Let's swim. He says, maybe. She says, we should. Summer's about to be over. I really want to swim. He says, okay, fine, where, and we probably can. She says, yay. How far are you willing to go? He said, depends. Honestly, I don't really care where we go, just as long as it's fun. She says, bet. He says, would it be cool if I go do ice baths with Kyle and Luis after I work out? That's just crazy, you guys. They're asking each other to do like these things, and they're only 15. Oh, wait. Mic is good. Can you guys see me and hear me now? I know I saw someone say, yeah, it's cutting out at times. Are we good? Melly is just AI. No, I'm going to pause until you guys can tell me if it's good or if it's still glitching. Good now. Oh, okay, so Phoenix said just refresh. Yeah, I don't have any problems on my end. You guys have problems in your end? Yes, cutting out. Really? Still glitching. That is so weird. It's not glitching on my end. Okay, let me see. How about that? Still glitching? Or is that better? Okay, what part did you guys last hear? Because was it about the ice baths? Did you guys hear that part, or was it glitching already? Because if it's just glitching, then maybe we'll just end here so we don't have to. Mine's good. Dana says hers is good. Me too. Well, if it's glitching, I have to close the app. Mine is good now. Catch me outside. How about that? Get your ass inside. We're not on a break because of glitching now. Fix it. I don't know. It was glitching on my phone, and when I put it on my TV, it seems fine. You guys are like, no, it's fine. Keep going. You guys want me to be glitching? Okay, wait, now I can see it kind of glitching. Is it still glitching on your guys' side? No, restart. I can't restart. Let me see. Putting you on my TV, keep pushing. Dana says, I'm on my iPad and it's good. You guys are messing with my feelings. Bomber says it's clearing up. There we go. It's all good now, I think. Is it? What if this is all Lexi's fault? I'd rather watch it glitchy than not at all. Maybe it's not. We love you, Mel. So many kisses. It's getting a lot better. Oh my God. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna have to end it there. I'm gonna I don't want you guys, I don't want to be glitching. I want you guys to be able to see me and hear me. I swear it's StreamYard because I was noticing problems earlier. It's fine on my TV. Keep going, don't worry about it. Now you guys have me stuck. I'm stuck like Kinsey is glitchy for me too, Melly. Okay, let's just call it a night there. Let's just call it a night. We'll have to continue tomorrow when it's not glitching. How about that? We've already been up here for like 2.5 hours. I'm about to get mad. I'm not tired reading. I just don't want it to be glitching on you guys. I'm about to flip the... It was clearing up, but kind of glitchy again. Okay, let's just end now. We ended at the ice baths. So he's saying, would it be cool to go do ice baths with Kyle and Luis after I work out? So we read a lot, though. We did get through a lot. Okay. Okay. Babe? I can't stay awake. Okay. We're going to end it now. No! Can you guys hear me and see me? Okay. Can you guys see me and hear me or no? No. Okay, you guys can. It's not better. All right. Let's end it there. I'm sorry. Lagging issues with StreamYard. Don't come for me. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll do an early live. How about that? We'll do an early live tomorrow. Thanks, Melly, for the reading to us. Yes. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure you hit the like button. We'll continue the readings tomorrow. I'll do another live tomorrow. Don't worry. We'll make up for whatever we didn't get to tonight. If we do, it'll definitely be the first live tomorrow. How about that? Okay. Hit the like button on the way out. So sorry for the issue with stupid ass StreamYard. I'm so mad at StreamYard. Night to all the stairs. Yes, thank you for being here. Okay, well, I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you for being here. Make sure you guys hit the like button on the way out. Part 14 coming tomorrow. I'm coming over early tomorrow. Yes, okay. Y'all post some videos here soon. Okay, bye. Love you guys.